Okay, I put my name on this cardboard. Yours, if it's square, same thing. I'm also gonna put my name on this. Just a piece of tape, guys. If you're leaving your bottle here, I wanna make sure your name is on it, okay? I have the wrapper off. I need to do a little bit better job and pull some of these stickies off so that way it looks nice, but I'll do that in a little bit. Over here, I have, I took the cover off of the soda bottle. You wanna keep it. Your hot glue, I plugged it in. It has a plasticky smell because that's the actual glue, and this is a glue stick. So if you're from home, you're gonna take the glue and you're just gonna set it in there. This little button right here is it's hard to see it, is a trigger button. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna pump out a few triggers of the glue. It's super hot, it's steaming, don't touch the glue. I'm gonna take this lid and set it on here and let it rest. It'll actually adhere very quickly. So I want the glue to cool down. Right now, that's all I'm gonna do with that. So if you have one of these hot glue guns in front of you, you guys are welcome to, after you put your lid on, just take it, please unplug it. Set it to the side. The tips are very, very hot, as is the glue. So don't touch it, let it cool down. Okay, we're gonna let that rest and set it to the side. So now I have this soda bottle. And what I wanna do, I rinsed it out. I just spilled out the rest of the water. Okay, I need to cut off this bottom. So if you are working here at school or you're at home and you have a hobby knife, you can use a hobby knife just to puncture it. Or if you don't, if you use a sharp knife at home, just be careful. So with these, you can see where there's that little line where that has been added on to the bottles. It's really, really subtle. All I need to do is puncture that. So it's plastic. You can actually use, and I prefer to use the scissors then to cut it off. So just be neat and careful. And you're trimming off that section. Okay, this part right here, you can always save if you want as a water container for your paints. You can save it to put your fish parts in here because we're going to be making fins and different things like that. Okay, so I have a little water that's spilled out. I just did this this container last period. So I have some little frayed ends right here, and I can always just retrim those to make sure it looks nice and neat. So it's straight and organized. Once you have that bottom part off, it's really easy to go ahead and just retrim. So it looks nice and neat. Great. So now this is what I have for my bottle. So it kind of looks kind of like a little bit like what you have for that template. So now that you have this, you will need your fish design. I'm going to take my hot glue gun, set it to the side here so I have more room to work and keep the heat out of the way. So I'm going to grab something to write on my bottle with. With this, I was just looking to see on some of these, you can see a little bit of a seam, and I see one over here. So I'm going to use that to start to flatten it. And I'm going to show you how I draw on this plastic, and I'm going to start to create the shape of my fish. Okay, so here I have my design once again. And with this one, I kind of want to mimic this little shape right here. So this is going to be where the bottle ends and where the tail is then joined on. So in order to do that, I am going to squish my bottle together like so. And I want to go ahead and create that shape over on this part of the bottle, and I'll show you what it looks like. A little harder to see on the green one, but that's the color I had to work with. So that's what I will use. Okay, my tail is going to be inserted in that space. So I want to make sure that I like the opening here. If you have your fish that's narrower, then that you're gonna cut more off of your plastic, but it's better to cut off less. You can always then cut off more. So over here, what's really nice is you can see through these bottles. So I'm just going to repeat that shape so I can actually go ahead and cut it. Okay, so I want to again mimic that particular shape, the base of the fish. So all you're gonna do is use your scissors. This is really easy to cut because the plastic is thin enough. And you are going to begin to cut this plastic. So there's one side. Look at that, pretty nice, huh? And then I'm gonna do the other side as well. All right, so once I have that, I have the beginnings of my end part of my fish. Now, if it doesn't line up perfectly, you can trim it and just do the best that you can just to make it look nice. All righty, so this is the beginnings. Okay, before I do anything else, now you're gonna go in your kit and guess what? You guys have a piece of vinyl. So let me go ahead and grab mine out. While I'm waiting to work on things, now this little plasticky stuff from the bottle, these parts I don't need. I threw those right in the garbage. This, if it's kind of in the way, now that it's cool, I can screw the lid back onto my bottle and I can have it upright to the side and move it out of the way. If this lid comes off, all you need to do is re-glue it, like put more glue on to your surface, put the lid back on, and it will be stable enough for you to work with. So the first thing I want to do with this is I'm going to create my tail. So I have one that I started earlier, and I just moved it to the side as usual. Let me grab another one. What's it? Oh yeah, thanks. That was it, yeah. So what I did with that, and I'm just gonna kind of reiterate with this one, I looked at the shape of the tail. Guess what I did? I made it longer. See where you don't have to write the word extra in there, but I made it a little bit longer so that way I can make sure that I staple it and leave that inside the fish. It's gonna make sure that it stays secure much better for you. So with that being said, it's kind of like if anybody here has ever made cutout cookies, you want to make sure I started with the end of my piece. I'll grab a new one to show you exactly what I mean here. Okay, so you all have this piece of vinyl. You'll be able to cut all of your fins out of it. So I'd start with the tail. If you have a nice long tail and you wanted to make a long tail, by all means, go ahead and make a long tail. Now on this, I'm going to use marker so you can see it. If you use pencil, you can see that. What I would recommend doing is starting with an end. Make sure that you have your markings here to know that that tail has to go inside of that part. This is going to be my extra. This is my bonus. Okay, then looking at the shape of my fish tail here, I'm going to begin to draw. Now this one, just because I want to change it up, guys, so we don't have two of the identical fish, which could be fun, but I'm going to change up my fish tail a little bit. I like drawing in a sketchy fashion, so for this, I'm going to sketch it. Once you like what you have for your tail design, all you need to do is cut it out and I'll show you how to secure it. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe I'll come in just a little bit more. Make sure you know what lines you wish to cut. You're going to put acrylic paint on top of this, so these are not going to show. Okay, this is really, really easy to cut through. It's really flimsy. Just make sure, I know I was sketchy there, but I need to have nice clean lines here. So I'm just going to cut like so. Cut like so. Okay, And I'm going to have some extras, but this is all good. Now remember, you need this for lots of things, so make sure that you know, I have more if you need it. That's not a problem, but don't waste it. Okay, there's my tail. Here is my fish. This is how we're going to secure it. Okay, see where I have the extra part? I just marked it for myself. Guys, this is kind of cool and easy. All I really need to do is use a stapler. I'm going to staple it in. Ta-da! And now I have my fish, my tail on there. Okay, so the next part I want to do is work with the pectoral fins, and I'm going to save you a little bit of time in watching all this since I started this a little bit earlier with my other class. I continued on this piece of vinyl. This is the only thing we're stapling on. The other fins we're going to hot glue on. Okay, so I'll just kind of give you the beginnings of how to get started right now, and then when it goes to actually attaching the rest of the fins, I'm going to ask you to not do that yet. So I have my fin, and I looked at the shape of this pectoral fin right here. Now with your fish, since it's three-dimensional, you're going to need two of those. So what I did was I drew the first one out, and then once I cut it out, I traced it so I have two that are the same size. Okay, one's going to be for either side. There we go. Okay, so there's my two. When I drew it out, look at that. There's that little section. It says fold. Because what's going to happen is after I want to make sure I like how it looks. This is going to be attached like so on the side of the fish. I like how that looks, and I'm very, very happy with it. So you're going to have two of them. Notice where it says fold. You don't have to write the word fold, but this is the section here that I'm going to ultimately hot glue onto the side of my fish. Like so. We're going to do the same thing with both the dorsal fin up top and the pelvic fin at the bottom. So you will need these little tabs so that way, because if you just had it straight like this, it's not going to stick. Okay, it's going to come off. It's not going to look nice either. So by doing this, it gives it the ability for this to kind of stand up a little bit and be outright like that, and we'll totally glue it on. Now, my recommendation for you is to make sure you like how all of your fins look before you glue anything else, before you glue anything down. So the only thing that you staple on is going to be the tail. With the rest of these, we'll ultimately go ahead and we're going to glue them down. Now notice the fold is going to go behind when I glue it, so you're actually not going to see that little piece. All right, so this will be covered nicely, and we'll do the same thing for the other side when we get that far. Now I realize most of you are not even to this point yet, but I wanted to kind of give you an idea. This is what it's going to look like once we actually glue those down. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording and then ask for some questions, but all of this is going to be available for you once you have these fins drawn and cut out. So do one first, trace it on the vinyl, and make sure this is on vinyl, guys, not on paper. Okay, the vinyl is going to protect it. So if you wanted to hang it outside in the nice weather, you could. If it rains, it's not going to destroy it like it would paper. The other things then you would start to do would be the other fins, and I will have these available and ready and then ultimately show you. But don't forget, you need that little extra section there, so that way you'll be able to glue it down, and I'll show you what that looks like tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording and see what kind of questions that we have.